Well, hello everyone. Happy Thursday and welcome to Elegant Sentiments today. I'm Sheryl Abernathy. I'm the owner of Elegant Sentiments, and this is our weekly card share number 87. And I've got for my project today lots of Lisa Horton inks and a couple of her products and also a Spellbinders product. So what I've got in terms of inks, I've got most of the new release from the Pick by Paula grouping of inks. I've got the Grapefruit and the Georgia Moss, the Andy Magenta, the Aubergine, Agnes Gray, and Albert's Ochre. And then from the regular matte blending line, I've got Burnt Ochre. And one of the new metallic inks I have here is Winter Fur. So those are the inks that I'm using for today's project. And it's a lot of different inks for a teeny little project. You'll see this. So this is the Floribunda Vase set that I'm going to be using. It has a 3D embossing folder and also the layering stencils. So those are the two other products from Lisa Horton. And then from Spellbinders, I have this, I use this a lot, this linen 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. So those are all of the products that I'm going to be using today. And then let me get my sample card out. It's a really nice and easy one, like all of my cards, easy and elegant. That's the way we do it. So this one, I double embossed this upper panel, and I mounted it on some foam, and then I had just some sentiments from my stash and added a few little gems. So this is today's card, and we'll go ahead and get started. I will bring in my tacky mat and move some of these inks over to the side, and I'm gonna adjust my camera just a bit if it'll let me. Okay, yeah, I think that'll make it a little easier to see since this is so small. And then I have, that's an A2 size card that I made, and there are 6 stencils with this one. So we'll just go ahead and get started with the first stencil. It is, I've got, this is an A2 size panel. I'm going to cut this down before I do my embossing, but we'll go ahead and get started with this. And this is stencil number 1. And for this one, we're going to be using the Andy Magenta. And we'll use a bigger ink brush, blending brush on this, because I don't want a lot of color on the flat where the flowers are going, just a little bit. And I'll add a little bit on this small flower up here, and then a little bit more on this part that'll be the band that's on the flower pot. So we'll put that in a little deeper. And that's it for stencil number 1. This goes really quick. These are small stencils, and so it doesn't take a lot of time. If you want something quick and easy, this is a nice one to pick up. So here we're going to be putting some color down on our flowers. And so I want to use, there's 3 flowers here. Now you can make all of these. Let me find the packaging again. So on the package, the package sample, all of the flowers are the same color, but I wanted to add a little bit of a little different color for these flowers that are going up the middle. So I made those yellow, and then all the other flowers, I left them the magenta color. So I just have to keep that in mind as I'm doing my inking, and it's real easy to tell where those those three flowers are. They're right in there. And so everything else, I'm just going to ink it up with the magenta color, and I'll have it darker in the centers, going around and picking up all of those leaves. Trying to get as far out as I can get without going too far into the yellow to add, make sure I get a nice hint of color there. And we got this one over here. I'm going to do that same thing with. And then we'll do this one. And it's kind of looking like a blob right now, but we'll add some more detail here with some other color. And then I want to do this one, this little baby down here. I think I will actually grab a smaller detail brush for this one, because it is so little, and just get some color on that one. And then what I want to do is go in with a little bit of the aubergine to give a little darker coloring to some of the petals on this flower. The inside, of course, we want that to be a bit darker, so we can go with that. And then around where some of the petals overlap, just adding a little bit more color there. And around the edges, we'll add a little bit more of this darker color. This one is really easy to do, and you can just ink it all up and not really worry about adding any kind of shading or any of that. Just put the color on and go. So it's up to you how much time you want to spend doing this, but since this is so small, it's easy to add just a hint more color and shading, because you don't have to do a lot to make a difference on this one. And I think I want to get a little darker right in there. Okay, and then maybe right along here, just a wee bit. Have to be careful with this one that bumps up against that yellow. I think I'm going to leave that as it is. And then we'll do our yellow flowers, and these are, I use the I use the grapefruit and the Georgia moss for those. So the base color of the yellow flowers is going to be Georgia moss, and then the inside will be the grapefruit. So we'll just put a coating of the Georgia moss down. And then the only thing I'm going to do is add a wee bit of color in the centers on these with the grapefruit. So not a lot to do with this one. Just carry that out to the edges a little bit, and that's kind of the center on this one. this one. And that's all we need to do for, let's see. I'm going to make this kind of an in-between. So to have a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pink on it. Okay. So that's it for stencil number 2. And for stencil number 3, we're working on our flower pot and the centers of the flowers. So for the yellow flowers, the center is going to be this grapefruit. And for this little pink one up here, it's going to be the aubergine. And then the rest is the flower pot. And for the flower pot, we're using ochre, which is really close to the Georgia moss, but it's different. It's different enough. So we'll use that one. And go with that. So I'm laying this color down a little heavier right up here at the top of the vase. And then just letting that color flow out as it moves down. And then we'll do a little bit of shading with the Agnes gray. And that'll be all we need to do for this one. Really simple. And on this one, we just come this way. Add a little darker color on this side. I think that looks pretty decent. And then we'll use the Agnes gray to put even more shading on our flower pot. So I do want to wipe, let me get a rag. I want to wipe some of this off of the stencil part so I'm not mixing that color, because I didn't do that when I inked this up the first time and I regretted that. So we're just adding a little bit of gray here just to add that shadow right underneath the flowers. And then we're going to have some shadow coming down the side. This gray is a really versatile color, and it's great for shading, I think. Because I've used it on lots of different colors. And I think that does it for stencil number 3. And on to stencil number 4. And for this one, I think I used Winter Fur for this. I'm pretty sure I did because I don't have any other green out. So we're going to go with it and see what we get. So this is a metallic ink, and it will it's going to give a little shimmer to some of these leaves, because I'm going to put the color down a little heavier on the ones that I call like the eucalyptus leaves. I don't really know what they are, but that's what I'm calling them. And then a little lighter on these other bigger leaves. So there won't be as much shimmer on these bigger leaves as there will be on the eucalyptus leaves. So I'm just getting a nice deep color at the base on these, and then just a hint of color on the tips, because these are such little leaves. And then these little ones here, I'm just doing those pretty solid. And these are the ones that are going to have the shimmer, the ones that I'm calling eucalyptus leaves. That's what they look like to me. I don't actually know what kind of leaf it is, but that's my take. And these bigger leaves, I'm pretty much just inking them all the same way, darker at the base and a little lighter going out to the tip, and doing that all the way around. I wish I had a side angle camera. My hand kind of covers up a lot of what I'm doing. See, so I try to describe what I'm doing as I'm doing it. And here we've got, these are, I'm calling these eucalyptus. I don't know what they are really, to be honest. But we're going to get the nice solid bit of color on these. And this one, same way. And then this one, not real sure, so we'll just kind of make that in between. We got another one here. Getting lots of color at the base, and just carry out a light little bit of color to the end, almost white at the tips of some of them. And then the eucalyptus, again, I'm making that darker. Okay, so that's it for stencil number 4. And 5 is another set of leaves. And I saw my paper shift just a wee bit, so I gotta be careful in how I put this down, making sure that it's lined up properly. It did move just a teeny tiny bit. There. Okay. So we will continue on inking. Okay. This one, I could almost use a brush that's even smaller, but we'll make do. We started with this. We'll go ahead and finish. finish with this. And I'm calling all of these eucalyptus, so we're going to make those nice and solid. And that's it for stencil number 5. And then on the last stencil, the only thing we need to do, you can add some accent on these middle flowers if you want to, and this one, but I don't want to do that. But I do want to ink in the eucalyptus stems, so I'm going to do those in burnt ochre. We'll bring in a small brush for that. And we'll just ink in our little branches. Like so. And that is all that inking that we need to do for our panel. And we've got our beautiful Floribunda vase. So the next thing I want to do, I'm going to move all these inks out of the way. Grab this panel. I want to keep the magenta because we'll need that. And I think that's all we'll need in terms of ink. I'll just move all this over. And so here's our panel all inked up. And so we're going to double emboss this. So for the first emboss, I'm just going to use the linen 3D embossing folder. And I'll just put it in, and it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that the full panel gets embossed. And I'll run this through my embossing machine over here. Okay, so that's our first emboss. Get this so you can see it. That's the first embossing. And then we'll do it a second time with the Floribunda vase embossing folder. And then this will help that vase and all of the inking that we did pop up off the page. So I'm going to see here. Kind of have to hold this at an angle so I can make sure that it's lined up right, because it's embossed more than once. Because my eyes want to go towards the first embossing, so I'm really having to make sure we get this right. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll run it through a second time, and it'll help those flowers pop up off of the vase a little more. And then we'll trim it down, and we should be good to go. Uh-oh. I just moved it. Sorry about that. Now I got to put it back. Okay. And into the embossing machine we go before I move it. I did move it. But it's still, oh, it still didn't, I didn't ruin it. So there we go. It's hard to see. You can see better on the back a little bit, that second embossing, but it does make it really nice. And then what I want to do is cut this down to, what did I do? I think I did this 3 3 3/4 by 5. Let me just make sure. I think that's what it looks like. Yep. So we'll cut this down 3 3/4 by 5. And then we can add it to our panel. So let's see, 3 3/4 should go here on this side. And turn it down a little over here. And let's see. And 5. Okay. So there we go. So that is our panel. And then what I want to do, I've got my card base here, and I did another 4 4 1/4 by 5.5. I just embossed that, and I'll put that on the front of the card base. I just like double embossing. I haven't done it a lot before, but when I do like it. It just gives so much texture for so little effort. Okay, so we'll put this on. I'm gonna burnish that, so make sure we got a nice tight hold, since there's so much texture on the back of that panel. And then I'm going to put on the back of this is it's really thin foam adhesive sheet that I'm using for this. And stick that there. Oops. Don't want to go too far. Okay. Then we'll put this down onto our card front. Nice and easy. And the one thing that I wanted to do and didn't, let's see, let me get a piece of paper, because I do want to, add a little bit of color to these corners, and I forgot to do that. So put a little bit of ink on here. Don't want a lot, but I do want some. So just come around, grab this edge down here, and get the other side. Just lightly adding a little bit of color. And down here, bring this one down. And I think that's good enough. Okay. I like having that extra wee bit of color on those edges. And it helps help you notice that it's popped up on the card base too. And then here is a sentiment that I have hot foiled in rose foil, rose colored foil. And stick this up here. Just like that. Okay, and then you can see, I don't know if you can see the shine on the darker leaves, but there's a nice little shine on those darker leaves that kind of adds to it. And then the final thing that we'll do is add some gems. I've got some pink, little pink gems here that I'll put on the front to finish this off. So it's a super quick card. Let's see. And of course, this part is totally optional. Let's see, I want a middle-sized one. And then I want a baby. Here's a baby. For there. Okay. Just kind of put these, mimicking the outline of the flower there. And then I want another middle-sized one for over here. And a baby that will go along that stem. Let's see. Get it on its flat side. There we go. Okay. So I'll just glue those down. And that will be our completed project. So there we go. That is today's project. And I thank you so much for watching, whether you watch live or if you're watching later. Please give me a thumbs up if you like it. I'm going to take some of this ink off of here. Ink, glue. And if you like it, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't, give me your feedback too. I like hearing from you. I thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and hit on that notify button so you'll know whenever I go live. I do so every Thursday at 7. I will not be live next Thursday, the 30th, but I will. I'll try to have a video for next Thursday. It just kind of depends on how my schedule goes for the week. But I thank you so much. If you want to follow me on Facebook, in the description for this this video, you can find the link to my Facebook and also my blog, elegantsentiments.com. You can check me out there. But thank you again for being here. I appreciate all of your feedback and you taking the time to watch. I hope that you get some time to craft some kindness of your own this week and have a fantastic week. We will see you next time. Bye for now.